The first gameplay trailer for Pokemon Legends ZA has been out for a while now. It's true that we've been dissecting the trailer for all it's worth, and there's definitely still more to talk about with it. But today, I would like to briefly take our attention away from the trailer itself and towards the website of Pokemon Legends ZA. For those unaware, it's fairly common practice by Pokemon at this point to give more information on their websites for their new games that weren't disclosed in the dedicated trailers. Today is no different, and I'm here today to make your life so easy by consolidating all the important details the website gave us that we wouldn't otherwise know. So let's get started. The first detail that caught my eye was the website's mention of the facilities and commerce that will be focused on in the game. It makes sure to give special mention to cafes, restaurants, arcades, and shops. We actually got to see an example of this in the trailer for ZA. Take a look at this scene here where our player character is having lunch with Totodile. My first impression was that we'd be able to go up to the cafes and give ourselves the option to dine with our Pokemon, but others have pointed out that they think this was simply a cutscene induced by the game's story. However, I think what's happening here is actually some sort of mix of the two. Based on what the website says and how this scene looks in the trailer, I think we'll have an option to go to a cafe and choose to have lunch with a Pokemon or possibly several Pokemon of our choice, after which a cutscene like this will play with different shots showing everyone having a good time, probably until the player chooses to end the cutscene and we return to our normal gameplay. It may well be a way that we build friendship stats with our Pokemon, or possibly build some other stats like EVs. Time will tell, but the pieces on the board paint a promising picture. Now, the story of Pokemon Legends ZA remains fairly elusive, even with all that we've been told in the trailers. However, the website does give us a couple more hints as to what we might see. For one, it makes note of our character's main interests being focused on incidents that pop up around the city. This may translate to side quests as well, but in terms of the main campaign, it seems to insinuate that we'll have some major events occur periodically that will require our attention, as well as AZs and Jets. These events may have a similar impact to what was happening with the noble Pokemon in Pokemon Legends Arceus, although the gameplay for how we deal with those problems will obviously be vastly different since Pokemon seem to no longer attack our trainer, and I doubt they would just rehash the whole frenzied Pokemon trope. Moving on though, one of my favorite details I found on the website is text indicating that Pokemon will have distinct battle styles, giving them independent personalities in combat when everything is taken into consideration. The site explains that Tepig is said to be nimble and runs around a lot to confound opponents. Conversely, Chikorita is explained to be more stationary and slow, with focus on AoE attacks that keep the enemy at bay. This gives new value to not only the speed stat associated with every kind of Pokemon, but also what kind of move pool each one will have. It's really cool to think of our Pokemon in this completely different context. Like, we can have more tank-focused battle styles in real time, more fragile stage hazard-focused ones like they explained Chikorita to be, or more nimble evasive types that look for small windows to get a good hit in, like they said Tepig would do. With the explanations of Chikorita and Tepig being what they are, I imagine Totodile will be more of a tank by comparison. Either way, I love this new way of looking at our team compositions. It's super fresh and exciting and very different for mainline Pokemon. A quick side note, the website also mentions that Totodile attacks indiscriminately, even to the point of attacking their own trainers. I'm curious to see if that will translate into gameplay in some way as well, but it could just be a fun detail given for lore reasons as opposed to gameplay reasons. Especially considering, as I've said in previous videos, we still have no hints that our trainer takes damage. It really doesn't seem like Pokemon attack us in Legends ZA. Something very tangible we can see though on the website is what text boxes will look like in ZA. They're very simple, but something I appreciate is that they're at least slightly translucent. We can see through them a little bit, so we can always see everything on screen, even when text boxes appear during scenes. Not all previous Pokemon games made sure to do this, and it drove me a little crazy. Otherwise, yeah, it's a simple white aesthetic with a tiny green color splash. Personally, I'd like a bit more from these, but it's possible we might have customization options for these given just how simple they look. The map for Lumiose has a key at the bottom and shows different interactable areas we'll see throughout the game. There's of course the cafes like I mentioned earlier, lending further credence to my theory that they'll be interactable, but we also see shops and Pokemon centers. Pokemon centers will likely be where we heal our Pokemon and also get battle items, as well as Pokeballs, and shops will likely be for aesthetic purposes such as clothing items and haircuts and who knows what else. On top of those, there's one symbol that seems to indicate miscellaneous buildings we can enter, perhaps buildings like Quasartico, Hotel AZ, and Prism Tower, or it could just mean that we can enter pretty much every building in the game. I'm really hoping that that's the case. There's also a symbol that seems to represent either wild areas or battle facilities. However, the final symbol is one that I'm completely unsure of. If the previous symbol I mentioned is in fact battle facilities, then this could represent wild zones, but if not, then I have no idea what it could mean. If anyone has any ideas, or if any of you know how to read the Pokemon language, can confirm or deny my inferences, please let us know in the comments section. I would absolutely love to hear it, and I'm sure everyone else would too. Moving on, the website makes it clear that gathering cells for Zygarde will be a pivotal part of our journey. We saw this a bit in the trailer when we witnessed a little Zygarde cell scooting around a building, but it's cool to realize that we, the player, are the reason he will be involved in the story at all. We're even told that Zygarde takes a particular liking to us, and this is probably the main reason why. We're literally making him whole again. The website also insists he may be used for travel eventually, with his final form, thanks to his wings and tail being able to change shape to, quote, fill a variety of roles. Likely meaning Zygarde will help us traverse Lumio City in ways that our Rotom phone and our parkouring trainer can't do on their own. Or it could also mean that this version of Zygarde is just really versatile in how he can handle fights, like maybe he can fly over stage hazards like the Stealth Rock that we saw in the trailer or something. I don't know. It's more likely that it'll help us traverse the city though. But did something else from the website catch your eyes? If so, please let us know down in the comment section so we can all talk about it. I'd love to join in on the conversations as well. Afterwards, check out more of my videos like this one here where I explain the ins and outs of how combat will work in Legends EA based on hidden details people still haven't noticed. The link is right in front of you and in the pinned comment. Otherwise, if you'd like to support me and have your name featured at the end of all of my videos, feel free to join my Patreon with the link in front of you or in the description, or become a channel member right here on YouTube. I've been JotoJohnny, and I'll catch you all there.